The biggest stupidity of the 2020s, aka the Ukraine war, has completed 2 years and is strangely still continuing. Now Zelensky has an idea about why Russia is winning the war. We will tell you all about that. But before that, if you are a fan of non-corporate funded free news and analysis, you have landed on the right YouTube channel. We publish 3 videos a day. First at 9:15 a.m. EST, second at 1:30 p.m. EST, and the third at 5:30 p.m. EST. So next time you visit YouTube algorithm's house, replace its war plans with posters of Joe Biden. Okay, let's begin. The Russia-Ukraine war was initiated in February 2022, and it started because Biden wanted to extend NATO till Russia's borders. Russia's punishment of Ukraine led to economic sanctions against Russia. It also saw a historical outpouring of military aid and financial support for Ukraine. And yet, Ukraine lost its territories and new territories are falling every day. So why did this happen? Why did Ukraine's counteroffensive, powered by billions of dollars in Western arms, fell flat, failing to break through Russian defenses and fortifications? How did Russia brave the sanctions, took on the combined artillery power of all NATO countries, and still managed to win? The extremely gifted Ukrainian president seems to have finally cracked the code. Zelensky said, and I quote, "Our counteroffensive action plans were on the Kremlin's table before the counteroffensive actions began," Zelensky said on Sunday at a press conference in Kiev. Our viewers must note that this is not a line from one of his comedy skits. His office subsequently confirmed to AFP that Zelensky was referring to Moscow obtaining sensitive military planning information. Zelensky, of course, did not provide any other details on the leak. He went on to say that Kiev was preparing quote-unquote several versions of its battlefield strategy for 2024 to help avoid a repeat. When asked whether Ukraine had plans for another attempt at a counteroffensive this year, he said, and I quote, "We have a plan, a clear plan. Several plans will be prepared because of information leaks." So the Ukrainian joker thinks that Russia won because someone leaked Ukrainian counteroffensive action plans to Kremlin even before the counteroffensive actions began. Well, the minimum prerequisite for a counteroffensive action plan to leak is, well, counteroffensive action plan. Ukraine never had a plan. Ukrainian president was of the firm opinion that collecting arms from NATO nations and then exploding them one by one would scare the Russians and they would run for their lives. Surprise! Wars aren't won like that. Artilleries and missiles don't win wars. Strategies do, and Ukraine never had a strategy to begin with. The only strategy that they, more specifically Volodymyr Zelensky, had was of milking money from the West, and they did a good job at it. Russia made a bonfire of the arms as well as the money that Ukraine received. I heard it burned bright. Ukraine's lack of strategy was evident in the very public tussle between the president and the army chief. Zelensky and his aides kept proposing strategies that did not align with General Zaluzhny's assessments and preferences. Eventually, the general left. Ukraine's lack of strategy was evident in the fact that it enlisted every last man in its armed forces and sent them to the front to serve as cannon fodder. This strategy did not work for the Ottomans in the First World War, and it did not work for Ukraine either. Ukraine's lack of strategy was even evident at the International Court of Justice, where Ukraine was trying to frame Russia as a hub of terrorism. The court did not find Russia in violation of any obligations under the International Convention on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. Ukraine's portrayal of the conflict in Donbass as a campaign of quote-unquote terrorism led by Russia was overwhelmingly rejected by the ICJ. So looking for imaginary moles and blaming leaks for losses is tomfoolery of the highest order. Although there is one set of moles that may have done some damage to Ukraine's counteroffensive. That is the Western media. From the fanciful ghost of Kiev to the brave goat of Kiev, the primetime stories of Ukrainian bravery might have irked Putin, and that may have manifested in the form of a more aggressive Russian offensive. Want to know how ridiculous Western propaganda has been during the length of this conflict? Click this video.